What is going on with Prince William? Someone seriously needs to stage an intervention about his climate activism. This week, he's been busy promoting the Earthshot Prize. This is a prize he founded in 2020, and Mike Bloomberg, the US billionaire, is a strategic funder. Bloomberg tends to fund a lot of these climate initiatives and make sure that he's seen everywhere next to Prince William. His Bloomberg philanthropies in the logo behind Prince William. This time at London Climate Action Week, which of course Mike Bloomberg hasn't missed, along with his protege Sadiq Khan, Prince William sat next to Patty Harris, who is the CEO of Bloomberg Philanthropies, you guessed it. And he's also been photographed with Emma Watson, who was there for some reason. I think people think, oh, because she was Hermione in Harry Potter and she's quite good looking, that as long as she's there, we will buy into this activism. Prince William is completely siding with left-wing activists and their networks and their funders through his climate activities. You know, it looks really good on the surface, the Earthshot Prize, but it links to the United Nations, C40 cities agendas that lots of people have not voted on, and also don't seem to be doing that well for our cities if London is anything to go by. There are lots of funders into these schemes that most taxpayers have no idea exist. A lot of foreign funding going into these schemes. These schemes are then being carried out by Sadiq Khan, who is the co-chair of C40 cities, along with other global governments. And many leaders are now going to Bloomberg schools to learn how to be mayors and other nonsense. Prince William really shouldn't get involved in this. I think it's too late, really. Part of me wonders whether he just wants to actually abolish the monarchy, because he's certainly acting like that's what we should do. There are so many people gunning for the monarchy anyway. A lot of them, like Zara Sultana, Clive Lewis, a lot of people in left-wing networks that actually link rounds to Andy Burnham. So we're going to be seeing a lot more of this, I predict. Prince William is alienating his allies because he's cozying up to Democrat networks. People like Bloomberg, for instance. Bloomberg ran as the nominee for the presidential nomination for Democrats in 2020. Even with his huge funds behind him, he didn't make it. So now we've been dumped with him instead. Prince William, I don't know who he's getting his advice from, but he's going to totally alienate the population that really likes the monarchy, which is mostly social conservatives. Something needs to happen, some sort of intervention.
Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone lectured you about your carbon footprint and then hopped on a private jet to a superyacht in Greece? Because that's exactly what the future King of England did. And somehow we're all supposed to clap. Welcome back. If you're new here, this is the channel where we don't sugarcoat the monarchy's games, we don't look the other way when the press gives them cover, and we certainly don't pretend that the Crown's carefully crafted image is anything other than an expensive taxpayer-funded PR machine. Let's get into it. Let's start with the Earthshot Prize. For those who don't know, William founded this climate initiative back in 2020, right around the same time his brother Harry and Meghan were busy launching Archewell and actually building something from the ground up, without palace resources and without the institutional weight of a future kingship behind them. Funny timing, right? Now, the Earthshot Prize has been getting a lot of attention this week with London Climate Action Week. And on the surface, it looks good. The branding is sleek. The messaging is sharp. William showed up looking polished, standing next to celebrities and billionaires, cameras clicking away. But let's look a little closer, because when you pull back the curtain on Earthshot, the story gets a whole lot more interesting, and a whole lot more uncomfortable. One of Earthshot's major strategic funders is Mike Bloomberg. Yes, that Bloomberg, the American billionaire who burned through $500 million trying to buy the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination and still couldn't get it done. Now he's bankrolling climate initiatives and making sure his name, Bloomberg Philanthropies, is plastered behind William wherever he goes. London Climate Action Week? Bloomberg was there. Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London and co-chair of the C40 Cities Network, was there. And of course, Prince William was there, seated right next to Patty Harris, CEO of Bloomberg Philanthropies. And then, because apparently no climate event is complete without a little stardust, Emma Watson showed up too, because nothing says take this seriously like a celebrity appearance, right? Now look, I'm not here to attack climate action. The planet matters. The environment matters. These conversations are necessary. But there is a massive, glaring difference between genuine advocacy and using the language of climate activism to build personal brand equity, while your actual lifestyle contradicts everything you're preaching. Because here's what William was doing around the same time he was hosting Earthshot events and positioning himself as the people's eco-warrior. He was flying private to Greece. He was enjoying a superyacht holiday. He was living the exact kind of high-emission, ultra-luxury lifestyle that his own prize initiative tells the rest of us we need to abandon. This is the con. And I want to be very clear about something. This isn't a one-off slip-up. This is a pattern, a structural, institutional pattern of the British royal family saying one thing and doing another, and expecting the press and the public to simply not notice or to look away when they do. William wants to be the climate prince, the forward-thinking, progressive future king who will lead Britain into a new era. He wants the associations with Bloomberg, with C40, with the United Nations networks. He wants the photo ops with Emma Watson. He wants the admiring headlines. What he does not want is accountability. He does not want anyone pointing out that his travel choices undermine his stated convictions. He does not want scrutiny on where the Earthshot money comes from and what agendas those donors are attached to. And he absolutely does not want comparisons to his brother, the brother who left the institution, gave up the security and the title and the palace resources, and chose a harder, more honest path. Let's pause on that for a second, because the contrast here is worth sitting with. Harry co-founded the Invictus Games, a globally recognized initiative that has transformed the lives of thousands of wounded, ill, and injured military veterans and service personnel. Full stop. Not a branding exercise. Not a billionaire-backed photo opportunity. A genuine, sustained, life-changing program that Harry has shown up for, year after year, regardless of whether the British press was giving him credit for it. And then there's Earthshot, which, and let's be real here, multiple observers have noted conveniently emerged right around the time Harry and Meghan were building their own philanthropic profile outside the firm. Make of that what you will. One commenter online put it bluntly. William founded Earthshot to compete with his brother. While Harry was helping veterans, William was promoting himself next to wealthy celebrities. And that framing, based on the evidence, is hard to argue with. Now, while we're talking about the Crown's relationship with accountability, let's talk about Prince Andrew, because the Epstein scandal hasn't gone away, and neither has the financial fallout from it. Andrew's association with Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex trafficker, has cost the British taxpayer millions. Not the royal family's private funds, not the Crown Estate's accounts. The taxpayer? You. The people who fund this institution through their taxes every single year. The settlement Andrew reached with Virginia Giuffre, the woman who accused him of sexual abuse, was reportedly worth in the region of £12 million. Security costs continue. Legal costs accumulated. And throughout all of it, the institution closed ranks. The press largely let it fade from the front pages, and Andrew continued living at Royal Lodge on the Windsor estate, a 12-bedroom mansion, while the palace periodically floats stories about how Charles might want to move him somewhere smaller. Meanwhile, the internet has been noting something else entirely. One user pointed out that a striking number of William's charity associates have links to the Epstein network. Now, I'm not here to make accusations. What I'm here to do is ask why the British press, which dedicated years to obsessive, relentless coverage of Harry and Meghan's Netflix documentary, their Spotify deal, their book, their foundation, their clothing choices, and their parenting decisions, has had so little appetite to dig into these connections with the same energy. Because that asymmetry tells you everything you need to know about who the UK tabloid press is actually protecting. Let's zoom out. Because the individual stories, William's private jet hypocrisy, Andrew's Epstein costs, the Bloomberg Earthshot funding apparatus, are all symptoms of a larger structural problem. The monarchy is a brand, a business, an institution that generates goodwill by performing service while actually functioning as a mechanism for wealth concentration, political influence and media management. The Crown Estate generates billions. The sovereign grant takes a percentage of that. And taxpayers fund the security, the properties, the travel and the institutional infrastructure that keeps the whole machine running, while the individuals at the top of that machine lecture the rest of us about sustainability, or position themselves as charitable heroes, or simply continue existing in protected, unaccountable luxury. They lecture. You pay. That's the deal you didn't agree to. And what happens when someone from inside that institution tries to actually challenge it? When a member of the family tries to raise concerns about mental health support, about racism, about the treatment of a biracial woman who married into the family and was systematically briefed against in the press, they get pushed out, they get smeared. The institution weaponizes its media relationships to destroy their reputation. And the press, the same press that's supposed to hold power to account, dutifully carries the water. Harry and Meghan did not leave for no reason. They left because they had no choice. And everything that has happened since, every legal victory Harry has won against the tabloids, every piece of evidence that has emerged about phone hacking and palace briefings, every moment where the official narrative has cracked, confirms exactly what they said was happening. Here's the part that I think deserves more attention than it gets. The media is not ignorant of these contradictions. Journalists covering the royals know about the private jets. They know about the funding structures behind Earthshot. They know about Andrew's ongoing situation and the costs it has generated. They know about the palace's history of briefing against the Sussexes. They choose not to cover it with the same ferocity they apply to anything connected to Harry and Meghan. Because the British Royal Rota, the pool of journalists who get access to the royals in exchange for favourable coverage, has a financial and institutional interest in maintaining the status quo. They need the access. The access requires compliance. And compliance means the story that gets told is the story the palace wants told. That's not journalism. That's managed PR. And the fact that it runs in newspapers and gets presented as objective reporting doesn't change what it is. This channel exists because that system needs to be called out. Because when the British press runs a story about Meghan holding an umbrella wrong or Harry's posture at a memorial, or whatever manufactured controversy is trending that week, while simultaneously ignoring William's private jet trips and Andrew's ongoing housing situation. That's not an accident. That's editorial policy. Look, the monarchy isn't going anywhere overnight. The press isn't going to suddenly develop integrity by Tuesday. But every time you share a video like this, every time you comment, every time you push back on the narrative being fed to you, you are part of a growing community of people who are done being lied to. The squaddies. This community. You are not passive consumers of royal gossip. You are people who pay attention, who remember the receipts, and who understand that what gets reported and what gets suppressed is a political choice, not a neutral one. If you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button now. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss when we drop something new. This is the channel that doesn't back down, doesn't look away, and doesn't let the monarchy off the hook. We're just getting started. Like this video. Share it. Leave a comment below. I want to know what you think about William's Earthshot hypocrisy and whether the British press will ever hold him accountable the way they've gone after Harry and Meghan. I'll see you in the next one.